layout for the finger joints complete, it's time to cut them out. So go over to the scroll saw as the recommended tool for doing that, and discover that it was left in pieces with debris on it. So, step one, clear the debris off, and we'll sweep that up when we're done. And the blade needs to be put in so that the teeth are angled down. So let's see if I can do a close up here. All right, so we have the teeth and we have the angles, so they are angled towards the floor. And we're going to put it in the bottom holder first, and then screw in the top holder. Bottom holder, put it in the top holder, tighten the back, as we've done this several times for other labs. Tighten this guy. On this particular scroll saw, there is a lever here to increase the tension, so we need to make sure there's a little bit of give there. Tighten that guy, and now there should be no give, but you still don't want it too tight. Bring over the blower to clear the dust off from our cuts so that we can see the line, because for this it's very important to be able to see the line and be as close to the line as possible. Safety goggles on, and we're ready to start making our cuts. Now, as you make these cuts, you need to make sure that you stay on the X side of the lines, and if necessary, slowly get up to it. So stay a little bit away from the line, and then you can go back over it and cut closer to the line. The number one rule, though, is don't cross lines. So if you've done your layout carefully, we can start cutting these out. Now the shoulder here, you can cut straight in and straight on. That guy's the easy one. This guy, cut straight back and cut straight back, and then to make this turn requires making a notch in the waist, and you want to make sure that you stay in the waist to be able to make that turn and not pinch the blade. If you don't make any notch, and I've chosen a skinny blade here, which will make it easier, but if you don't make that notch at all, you're going to end up pinching the blade and either breaking it or wrecking your workpiece. So we're going to make that turn very, very slowly. Let's do some sample cuts and show you what I mean. And we check the other side to make sure that we haven't cut through on this side either. And then we can turn and cut along the shoulder. Now to make these cuts, straight back, and then make the little notch cut in there to go along the shoulder line. Alright, cutting an extra line, and now you can see a gap in there. That creates a little space, and that will allow us to turn the workpiece and not pinch the blade. Alright, turn the workpiece, had no problem whatsoever, but I do have an angle cut there, so I'm going to need to go back and go the other way to get that down. And the reason for doing the layout on the other side is to check and make sure that we haven't gone past the line on the other side as well. Now we've got 2 more cuts on this guy, and then 4 cuts on this guy, and then we have 3 more boards after this one. So let's make some cuts. Holding these guys together like this, from the sandwich, just like when I was doing layout, also helps me to judge if there's any adjustments that I need to make. If I made any mistaken cuts on the wrong side of the line, since I haven't cut this yet, I can move one of these lines to match up with my cut here. So what you notice, if I have the edges lined up, I haven't made any mistaken cuts except possibly over here where I cut on the line instead of on the waist side of the line. So here there's a little bit of waist left. You can see the full line, full line, full line. There's a smidge of waist left, smidge of waist left. So what this means is if I cut exactly on the waist side of this line, this finger and that finger are going to run into each other. But down here, even if I cut on the waist side of the line, this finger is going to have a little bit of a gap there. So I need to make sure that I leave a little extra on this guy. But for the rest of them, I can cut on the waist side and then shave it down when I go into the fitting stage and I see how well my actual cuts fit together. So let's cut this guy out now. All right, now that I've cut out both halves of A, let's take a look and see how well they fit together. So I've got my bookends here, so the lines matched up, and I close them like a book. And I look and see how zigzaggy they are. Good, they are zigzaggy. Now I try to push them in together, but not too hard because I don't want to break anything. And I see that they don't go in together because I didn't cut off enough waste. This is actually a good thing. So now what I need to do, and let's see if I can look at this, what I need to do is see where the corners are hitting and mark them so that I can cut them off. So right here, that guy needs to come down, and then this guy down here, both halves of this guy are running into it, and those guys are the worst ones. The one in the middle, the two in the middle seem to be the best. So I'm going to mark them off with a pencil before I forget, because as soon as I put it down here on the table, I'll forget. So this guy, and this guy, and this guy. Oh, there we go. This guy, and this guy, and this guy. Mark them off, and I'll shave them down just a little bit and fit it and see if it fits then. And then once I get a good fit, then I'll go on to my next one, which, let's see here, this guy was, looks like B. So then I'll pick my other long piece and cut that one, and then fit that one. Now what you could do is cut them all out rough cut like this, just cut them all rough cut, and then work on the fitting and mark them all off like that, and come back and just do the individual pieces once you have done that. Either way, doesn't really matter, it's up to you. For this one, I'll try to fit it here and see how this goes. All right, now, if you're going to shave it off like I did just there, you need to be very careful that you are shaving lightly and not push into it and actually just cut through the whole finger, or pinch the blade while going sideways and break it off. It needs to be a very light shaving. And now that I've done a very light shaving, it's getting closer to going in there. But let's see here. Yeah, this guy still needs more where my index finger is. And that guy still needs more. So these two guys need to be shaved down more. So I'll mark those so I can keep them straight. And do it again. This is sneaking up on the cut so that I can have a nice tight fit all around. And if you want to make sure there are no gaps, you need to have a lot of patience for this. Ooh, starting to go in. But I just want to do a little more general shaving down because I don't want to so thoroughly crush these things that something snaps, which is always a possibility. But I need to be careful which side of these guys I shave down, because I want to make sure that the bottom, the bottom, which I'm holding up right now, the bottom and the top stay aligned. So I need to be careful which guys get shaved down. Right, so all these guys. And there we go. Finally shaved them down enough so that I could get them to fit together. And then I can start to see how far down I need to cut on these guys and those guys, and if there are any more places in the corners that are going to be causing gaps. So for fitting, a couple of notes. When you're putting it together, you're probably going to see some gaps. So you can see some dark lines there. Those are gaps. If it's all even like that, probably what you can do is simply just tilt it and watch the gaps disappear. However, when you do that, you also need to keep in mind that this is going to be a box and we need to have it square. So when you put it square, if all those gaps reappear, what that means is that you need to cut a little bit more off the inside part of the shoulders there, because there's a little bit here. Let's exaggerate a little bit. All right, so if you push it square and there's a gap on the top, that means you need to cut the bottom. Not the top, just the bottom a little bit. So that's one point for dealing with gaps. Another point, if you push it together and you discover, let's hold it this way, that your finger isn't long enough and it's a little bit down inside the other finger, like this is, then that means that these shoulders down here need to be cut just a little bit deeper. And probably with my last point in this one, what needs to be cut deeper is not the outside, but the inside part of this corner here. So you don't want to cut this part of it. You want to cut that part of it. And then that will help both the finger stick out and it can stay square without gaps. Third issue with getting gaps, suppose you push it in there and let's see if I can manufacture this here. All right, there we go. So I have it tight over here, but then I've got a gap over here. Well, if I have a gap over here, this wood's already cut back. What I need to do is cut back some wood over there where it's touching before this guy is also touching. So in order to even it out, you need to make an extra little bit of a cut, and seeing this small gap here, this would be a tiny cut, or there might just even be a bump obstructing the progress of these fingers into the gaps here. So you need to look carefully and see, where does this wood bump into that wood before it's supposed to? What is pushing that is causing the gap? So you don't look directly at the gap, you look at where there isn't a gap, and that's what needs to go.